The little girl's lips were trembling when she leaned closer and whispered, "Sir, my mom didn't come home last night." Her voice was so soft it almost disappeared into the wind. But the fear in her eyes, that was louder than the storm roaring outside. Before we go any further, pause for a second and imagine this: it's the coldest night of the year. Snow is falling in thick, blinding sheets. The city is shutting down. And a child is standing alone in the lobby of a towering glass building, holding nothing but a worn-out backpack and hope. If this story touches your heart at any moment, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Because stories like this remind us that humanity still matters. It was nearly 10:45 p.m. when the CEO of Ardent Technologies, Daniel Hayes, finally stepped out of the elevator. His shoulders were heavy from a 12-hour board meeting. The company was facing a critical merger. Investors were restless. His phone had not stopped buzzing all day. Daniel was a man who lived by schedules, spreadsheets, and strategy. Emotions, they were distractions. At least, that's what he had convinced himself. He adjusted his coat and walked toward the exit when he noticed the security guard kneeling near the reception desk. And beside him stood a little girl. No more than 7. Thin, snow melting in her tangled hair. Pink gloves that didn't match. Eyes red from crying. "Sir," the guard said quietly, "she says her mother works in the cleaning staff. Night shift. She's been waiting since afternoon." Daniel frowned slightly. Why hasn't anyone called her mother? "We tried. Phone's off." That's when the little girl stepped closer. She looked up at him as if she somehow knew he was important. As if he could fix things. "Sir," she whispered again. "My mom didn't come home last night." Daniel's breath caught. "What's your name?" he asked, kneeling so their eyes met. "Sophia. And your mother?" "Maria Lopez. She cleans the 17th floor. She said she'd be home before I woke up. But she wasn't. I waited. And waited. So I came here." The wind howled against the glass walls of the lobby. Outside, the snowstorm had intensified. Roads were closing. Emergency alerts were buzzing across the city. Daniel felt something unfamiliar pressing against his chest. Maria Lopez. He had seen that name on payroll reports. A quiet worker. Always punctual. No complaints. No absences in 3 years. "She's probably stuck because of the storm," Daniel said, though his voice lacked certainty. Sophia shook her head. "She would call me. She always calls." Those words pierced deeper than he expected. The security guard added softly, "Sir, her apartment is on the east side. That area lost power 2 hours ago." Daniel stood up slowly. He had a car waiting. A driver. A warm home with a fireplace and dinner on the table. He could have called the police. He could have delegated it to our. He could have told the guard to handle it. Instead, he did something no one in that building expected. "Get my car ready," he said. "We're going to find her." The guard blinked. "Sir." In this storm, Daniel looked down at Sophia. Her small fingers were gripping her backpack straps like it was the only stable thing in her world. "No child waits alone tonight," he said firmly. Within minutes, Daniel's black SUV was pushing through thick snow. Sophia sat in the back seat wrapped in his coat. She kept looking out the window, scanning every street as if her mother might suddenly appear walking in the storm. "Tell me about your mom," Daniel said gently. Sophia's voice trembled but steadied as she spoke. "She works a lot. She says it's so I can go to a good school one day. She says I'll be a doctor." Daniel swallowed hard. "My mom used to say that too," he murmured. Almost to himself. The car slid slightly as they turned onto an unplowed road. Snow buried the sidewalks. Streetlights flickered weakly. When they reached Maria's apartment building, the lights were out. The entrance door was half buried in snow. Daniel's driver hesitated. "Sir, this doesn't look safe." Daniel opened the door anyway. The cold hit him like a wall. Freezing wind sliced through his suit. Snow soaked his shoes within seconds. Sophia tried to step out, but he stopped her gently. "Stay in the car. I'll check." He forced the apartment door open. The stairwell was dark and silent. "Maria," he shouted. No answer. He climbed the stairs 2 at a time, heart pounding, not from exertion, but from something deeper. Fear. Responsibility. On the 3rd floor, he noticed a faint light coming from the hallway. And then he saw her. Maria was slumped against the wall near the staircase. A grocery bag lay torn beside her. Cans scattered across the floor. She wasn't moving. Daniel rushed forward. Maria. Her skin was pale, her forehead burning. He shook her gently. Can you hear me? Her eyelids fluttered slightly. A weak whisper escaped her lips. Sophia. She's safe, Daniel said quickly. She's with me. Relief flickered across Maria's face before she fainted again. Daniel didn't hesitate. He lifted her carefully, carrying her down the stairs while calling emergency services. By the time they reached the car, Sophia's eyes widened. Mommy. Daniel placed Maria gently in the back seat and wrapped both of them in blankets. She has a high fever, he told Sophia softly. But she's going to be okay. The ambulance took longer than expected due to blocked roads. So Daniel made another decision. Drive to the hospital, he ordered. The journey felt endless. Snow battered the windshield. Traffic crawled. In the emergency room, Daniel stayed. He didn't check his phone. He didn't take business calls. He sat beside Sophia, who clutched his hand like he was family. Hours later, a doctor approached. She has severe pneumonia, the doctor explained. If she had stayed in the cold longer, it could have been fatal. You brought her in just in time. Daniel exhaled slowly, feeling the weight of those words. Just in time. When Maria finally regained consciousness, her first sight was her daughter sleeping peacefully in a hospital chair, and Daniel sitting nearby. You, she whispered weakly. You didn't clock out last night, he said softly. We got worried. Tears filled her eyes. I'm so sorry, sir. I didn't mean to cause trouble. He shook his head. You didn't cause trouble. You almost lost your life trying to carry groceries home in a snowstorm after finishing your shift. She looked down. I couldn't afford delivery. That sentence stayed with him. In the following days, Daniel did something unprecedented in his company. He reviewed employee welfare policies. He discovered how many night shift workers struggled silently. Low wages, long commutes, no emergency transport support. He saw numbers on spreadsheets transform into human faces. Maria returned to work weeks later, this time not as a cleaner. Daniel had offered her a position in the company's facilities management office. Higher salary, regular hours, health insurance. When she tried to refuse, saying she wasn't qualified, he told her something she would never forget. You showed up every night without fail. You worked through sickness and exhaustion. Loyalty and resilience are qualifications. And Sophia, Daniel arranged for her to receive a scholarship funded by the company. Not as charity, but as investment. Months passed. The snow melted. The merger succeeded. Profits soared. But Daniel changed more than his company's financial trajectory. He started a program called No Employee Left Behind, ensuring transportation during severe weather, emergency childcare support, and healthcare assistance for all staff. At the annual company meeting, he invited someone special to the stage. Sophia. She stood nervously at the microphone. This is the man who found my mom, she said proudly. He came in the snow. The room fell silent. Daniel looked out at thousands of employees and realized something profound. Leadership wasn't about power. It was about showing up when it mattered most. After the applause faded, Sophia ran up and hugged him tightly. And in that embrace, Daniel felt something he hadn't felt in years. Purpose. So if you're watching this right now, remember, kindness doesn't require a title. It doesn't wait for perfect weather. It doesn't check profit margins. It acts. Sometimes, all it takes is listening to a whisper. If this story moved you, even a little, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Share it with someone who needs a reminder that compassion can change lives. Because somewhere tonight, in some quiet lobby, a small voice might be whispering for help. And someone has the power to answer.